What's up, everybody? We're live. This is the inaugural podcast for Behind the Details with Chelsea. I'm not going to kid you guys. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't do a ton of lives. So this is going to be a whole new experience for me, for us. We're going to be learning all of this together. I think Eddie and Jamie and all the guys at THOR have just been gravely aware of how technologically challenged I may be. So the fact that we have gotten it this far, that we got all the buttons pushed, I am so glad that you guys have joined me tonight. It is a super cold Wednesday night here in Lancaster. I think it's like 30 degrees outside. We're supposed to get snow tomorrow. All right, let's see who we have in our chat so far. We've got Alfred Auto Spa. We got Bruce's Garage. We've got Becca Green. We've got Top Gear Auto Detail. We've got Jay Daily Detailer. I am so excited. We've got people that I have been chatting with online for years. We've got new people all over the place. So I am so thankful that you guys have joined me tonight and that you guys are so close already. This is the thing that I wanted to see on this channel, is just friendship and all of the conversations that you guys already have going on. So we're actually starting off this podcast because when Eddie and Jamie kind of approached me with this idea, I wanted to be able to have a better sense of community with the detailing community myself. And one of the things that has excited me the most when I've gotten to meet different detailers and things like that is just learning all of their backgrounds and how we all might have different approaches, different histories, different things like that, and how it has affected all of us. There could be 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. And that's kind of the beauty of detailing. There's not one box or one size fits all. But I know that we are on the THOR channel. This is the first time that I've actually probably done a video on the THOR channel. And years ago, I did an origin story where I shared with you guys how I got my start with auto detailing. And my attention to details channel, we're close to 30,000 subscribers, which blows my mind on a daily basis. But I figured since we're new to THOR, and it's been a few years since I've actually shared how I got my start into detailing, we're going to start off with our first episode with sharing with you guys how I kind of got my start. So it kind of goes back several years. I am almost, I've been saying I'm almost 40, but I'm actually 40 now. We've crossed that threshold. I am fully needing to embrace being 40. Started off when I was 15 years old. My dad actually always used to have me clean cars. It was my chore. And he used to make me go wash cars out in the rain because it was free water. And I think he thought that I would think of it as some sort of punishment, but it actually became therapy for me. I started to equate washing cars with just relaxation. And I think that's what kind of started the itch with detailing for me. Once I started to see that I enjoyed it, and my parents, I think, were bragging about it a little bit. I'm not quite sure. But there was an older lady in our church that was friends with a guy who owned all of the car dealerships in the Bahamas. Maybe not, at least that's what was told to me. But he was looking for someone to wash his cars. And my mom was like, oh, my daughter will do that for you. And lo and behold, that was like my first job, washing cars. I'm pretty sure I made like $20, $25 a car. I thought that I was the coolest kid on the block. Like, I had a job. I was cool. I knew what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. I think I used Dawn dish soap, a bucket, some old rags, some old bath towels, which are all the things that we all cringe at now. But you all got to start somewhere, right? So fast forward a few years, I am graduated from college. I've always kind of enjoyed having a clean car. I know that's not the stereotypical girl. Most people, when they think of women and cars, they're picturing empty soda cans or, bags all over the back, makeup, things thrown all over the place. I was never that person. I always vacuumed my cars out. I always washed it. I did spray waxes, nothing fancy, but I liked a shiny car. And so after I graduated from college, I met my husband, and I had a Pontiac Grand Am, loved shining it up. It was the first vehicle that I ever had chrome wheels. And I think, honestly, those chrome wheels are what got it all started, because I had to like learn how to polish them. And I was like, oh, that's satisfying. And then my husband started to introduce me to Stoner car care. He was a big Stoner guy, a big McGuire's guy, showed me their speed bead, their quick detailer. I want to believe that they even had, correct me if I'm wrong, if any of you guys know this or not, but they actually had like an aerosol polish. We used to do his old Mazda with that, and I would polish my Pontiac, and it just kind of again got me a little bit more of an itch with detailing. And so, fast forward, I become a mom. I have two kids. My husband works for an HVAC company. We have a home, a 2-bed, 1.5 bath home, and that home was never supposed to be like our forever home. It was supposed to be kind of a stepping stone. But as soon as my son was born, I knew that I didn't want to go back to work. The plan had always been that I would go back to work. But as soon as I held him in my arms, I knew I can't give up this opportunity to anybody else. I can't let someone else raise him and have all the firsts, and I miss out on it. So I stayed home, which was a huge privilege and a blessing that my husband provided. But it didn't allow us to save for all of the extra things like a bigger home. We had a beautiful home, but we were outgrowing it very quickly. And as my daughter, was 2, I was getting to the point where I was having to face the realization that I was probably going to have to get a job of some form to help supplement the income for us to be able to save for that bigger house. And I honestly had been doing a couple of friends and family's vehicles, and my neighbor came up to me, and I was talking to him about how I wanted to maybe look for different jobs. Most stay-at-home moms, when my kids were smaller, the at-home jobs at that point were Mary Kay, Pampered Chef, maybe some cleaning products, none of which I really felt passionate to get behind. And I was like, I really just want to do something that I love. And he's like, well, you like washing cars. I see you doing yours all the time. He's like, why don't you do that? And I'm like, no one would come to me. No one would pay me money for that. And he's like, just put it out there. And so I actually went on the Nextdoor app, and it is basically an online bulletin board for people within your community. I went in and I created a business page, put together a very rough draft of packages and prices. And I think, just for example, my first wash and wax package was like $75. I was like, that's a lot of money. Like, no one's going to pay that. And before I knew it, I had 2 weeks of work scheduled out. And I was like, holy cow, they were bringing the car to me. I was able to do it while the kids were in preschool or taking naps. We weren't doing anything crazy like paint corrections, ceramic coatings. I was just doing full details and things like that, because obviously I didn't have a ton of time to commit to it. But I was like, whoa, this is becoming a thing. So I went and I got a business license, and I got insurance, and I made business cards and did everything that you need to do to set up a business. And before I knew it, we were scheduled out 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. Now, mind you, I wasn't working 5 days a week. I've actually never worked 5 days a week. And I know that I do these videos, and you guys probably think I have a full-time shop here at my house. I can actually detail 2 to 3 days at this point in my shop, and make just as much as my husband does working 40 hours a week. That is the blessing of detailing. But it's never been to the point where I've been in it to get rich. I've been in it to provide for my family. And so I've always tried, I struggle sometimes, I'll be honest, but I've always tried to manage family life with work life and not let the one consume the other. It's a struggle, very much a struggle, and we can get into that in future episodes. But when it comes to how I got my start, we basically just started putting the information out there. I think it took one detail at $75 for me to realize that my prices were ridiculously low. I think I spent 6 hours on that first full detail, and I'm lucky if I made maybe $10 an hour. I didn't have a ton of equipment or supplies that I had to pay for. At that point, I was using a lot of Meguiar's retail products. I was using a turtle wax orbital buffer, like the green one with the red bonnet head. And you're doing more like a cleaner wax type situation. Although I felt like I was polishing, which in a way it is. I was doing that to every vehicle. I was doing the little turtle wax orbital buffer on every vehicle. It took forever and didn't do a ton of correction for the customers, but definitely there were a couple roached vehicles that it did a really nice job on it. But I learned very quickly that I had a passion for detailing. And I am the type of personality and the type of person that when I become passionate about something, I am all in. I'm almost to the point of like borderline obsession. I wanted to learn as much of it as I could. So I just started immersing myself in YouTube. Started following people like Brian Spittler, Luke Wilson, John from Forensic Detailing, Ivan LaCroix, Greg Masterson when he was with Chemical Guys, Scott Bly from Dallas Paint Correction. I followed every channel that I could get my hands on to soak up as much information as I could. And before I knew it, I was buying my first polisher, the MT300 from Meguiar's, because again, I'm kind of a Meguiar's girl at this point. I think I bought their entire 3-step system, compound polish, finishing wax, and even scheduled my first paint correction. It was on I think it was a 2005 red Corvette. And I'm surprised that didn't break me because that was when I actually discovered that Corvettes, some of them have fiberglass panels and they're really hard. And I actually remember crying polishing the back rear bumper because no matter what microfiber pad or wool pad or compound I used, it just wasn't correcting properly. And I think the things that frustrated me the most about detailing are the things that made me desire to become better and to learn more about it. And so I learned through trial and error, not necessarily always on my customers' vehicles, but that's always something that is very risky whenever you want to try something new. So I would do it on family and friends or customers, that vehicle that was like super old, test spot, things like that. You don't really want to break your teeth in on customers' vehicles too terribly much when it comes to like heavy correction, things like that. But when it comes to medium medium polish, things like that, most vehicles, it's just a kind of a good way to learn. I was using polishers that were very user-friendly, beginner-friendly. Wasn't obviously starting off right off the bat with the rotary. I was actually really, really intimidated by the rotary until maybe just a few years ago. I'll be honest with you. Ivan helped me kind of work through that issue that I had and realized that a lot of it was just, I don't know, exaggeration from some people online and improper use and improper technique and things like that. But anyways, when it came to the business, obviously we started off at our house across the street. That's where we used to live. Actually, we moved one road over. I was working out of a carport, and every winter almost had to shut down to the point where I was maybe getting 1 to 2 details a week. We were struggling, and I was trying to find a way to stay open. My neighbor actually offered to let me use his garage bay in the wintertime. And so I would take a tank top heater with a propane tank and we would do paint corrections. And I actually started to do ceramic coatings and started to do those in his garage in the wintertime because we didn't have a way to do that here at our shop. And in the meantime, my kids are in school. My daughter is in preschool. I'm having to stop what I'm doing every 2-3 hours to take her or pick her up. It was very broken up, very difficult sometimes to get into the flow of things. And honestly, looking back, I don't know how I did it, how I honestly was able to stay busy to get the work done in a decent amount of time and still be able to kind of handle the kids. It's a lot. I'm not going to lie. For those of you that are moms that are doing this from home, like hats off to you because you're basically doing like 2 full-time jobs at once. I still remember when we first moved into this house, and we'll get to that in just a second, but I still remember when my daughter was like 3 or 4 sitting in a little Tinkerbell seat with her Kindle watching a show while I vacuumed a car out because I didn't want to leave her in the house by herself because God only knows what she would get into. Um, and so I just learned to do that, and my kids learned to cope and manage, and my husband would help out when he could with kind of putting things away or buttoning things up on vehicles. It definitely was a team effort. But somehow I was able to stay consistently busy. I've actually been in business for almost 8 years now. That just blows my mind that we've been able to get where we're at. But anyways, started off in a carport, had to take my gear into the basement every winter because it would freeze where it was at. Was able to use my neighbor's garage to kind of stay open in the winter. It wasn't ideal. He had a very limited garage space. I could only fit certain cars in there. And sometimes we would kind of barter. I would do his car for him for free, and he would let me use the bay for free. And that's where I've always told people, like, if you do not have a garage to work out of, where there's a will, there's a way. There, in fact, were situations where I had customers reach out to me. When we lived at our old house, they had lifted trucks like a F-250 or something like that, and they wanted me to ceramic coat it. I obviously couldn't fit that in his garage or do it in the house where we lived. And they actually had a business, a landscaping business, that they were like, hey, you can come and use our shop here and ceramic coat the truck in our shop. And so I was able to use their space to ceramic coat it. It wasn't ideal. It was actually really dusty. I was terrified that someone would come in with a push broom and get dust all in the ceramic coating. But again, where there was a will, there's a way. I never once had to rent a shop or rent a space. God has provided so substantially for us over these years. And I'm sure if I probably had just like said, okay, we're going to rent a shop, we would have had, a completely different experience. And in fact, I've had other people approach me to say, hey, do you want to rent half of a space? I'm doing like maybe PPF on one side or PDR repair on one side. You can do detailing on the other. The idea of having to have consistent business to pay rent to things like that, honestly, sometimes that terrifies me. I don't know how some of you guys who have shops, sometimes the responsibility that can feel. I have all the respect for people who stay consistently busy enough to pay rent, to pay employees, insurance, all of those things. You have to be phenomenal businessmen to be able to maintain a business at that level. And I know that my skills, and I'm being 100% transparent with you guys here, I know that my skills, I probably would not have been able to be at that level. And I don't know if I ever actually have wanted to be at that level, because I have actually been very content and satisfied with where I'm at here. There are some people that they have the biggest dreams out there of having huge shops, multiple employees. But then I hear those kind of nightmare stories of friends of mine who get the dream shop, start to hire the employees, and it just turns into a nightmare because there's constant turnover and poor management of skills, and customer quality is just not what they're expecting. And they end up saying, I really just wish that I could just do it by myself, be a one-man show, and go back to it being simple and being able to control the quality. And so I hear things like that. And so I'm like, okay, I think I'm good where I'm at. God at this point hasn't kind of closed these doors for me. And he has somehow sustained me with strength that I've been able to maintain the level that I'm at. And in fact, I've been probably busier the last few months than I've ever been. Thankfully, I think the YouTube channel is actually starting to drive business this way. But yeah, as far as how I got my start with YouTube, it honestly was an accident. I don't want to say it was an accident, but it wasn't something that I planned for. I'd been detailing for about, 2 or 3 years at this point, and was starting to become confident in my skills, confident in paint correction and ceramic coatings. I had some pretty good regular customers and had started to become members of different detailing groups on Facebook. And there was one group that I was a part of that they had been approached by a company called MaxShine. And they had said, we're looking for some people to maybe test out some products, do some reviews on them, give us your feedback. If you want to do a video review on it, that'd be fantastic. So I ended up getting sent a bunch of stuff from MaxShine. And was doing some video reviews on their 3-inch polisher. I think it was the rotary. And I did a little video. I sent it to some friends and I was like, what do you guys think? Like, is this awful? Like, just tell me now. It's not like, don't waste your time. And they're like, no, Chelsea, like, this is good. Like, you seem more natural. Obviously, I was uncomfortable behind a camera. No one's really comfortable holding a phone and hi. So it's a little awkward at first. And sometimes it's a little awkward even now. You can see my cheeks are all red. It's the headphones actually. Darn British jeans. But when I first did that first video with the 3-inch polisher, I don't know. It gave me a confidence. It helped me see maybe this could be something. I didn't honestly think it would turn into anything. For me, it was the potential opportunity to do one job and make 2 sources of income. That's the beauty of YouTube. I could detail, I could film it, I could get paid from the customer for the detail. And then if we had the potential to become monetized, I could potentially have the option of getting some money for the detail with the YouTube videos. Now, mind you, I've never been that person that I want to be viral or I want to be a huge channel. I mean, we all see those channels out there where people have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, even millions of subscribers. And you see some of the things that they purchase, the cars, the houses, the vacations they go on. And there's a very small part of you that's like, that would be nice. But at this point, my goal with YouTube was just to pay for braces. My goal was just to help pay for groceries. I'll be honest with you. I never thought that it would turn into anything. And in full transparency, YouTube at this point, it's still not a huge amount. I maybe get $400, $500, $600 a month with YouTube if I'm lucky. And gosh darn it, the algorithm, sometimes it can just kick you in the butt, whatever momentum you think you're having. And then you get sick or there's a family event that you just prioritize family over editing and your algorithm struggles because you don't get a video out. And then before you know it, all that momentum that you had gained is just lost. And then you just keep, it's like this awful pool that just keeps wanting more and wants to take more. And it's a struggle bus. It really is. YouTube was not necessarily what I expected it to be. As far as in the amount of work required to build a channel to this point, I feel like when I started doing videos, it just was, I'm going to show my customers what I can do. I'm going to show them what I did on their vehicles. It was maybe a little bit of a tutorial because my customers were asking questions and I'm a visual learner. And so I figured, let's make videos that will help my customers see what I did, to see my worth, to see that what I'm charging you, this is why, because I actually like put a lot of effort into what I was putting on your vehicle. And then before I knew it, I started to gain consistent viewers and friends and people asking me questions that then just kind of spurned more videos and more content. And so the channel kind of started to just organically, naturally grow. It's never been something that has just taken off. And sometimes that is the way with YouTube. I think sometimes a lot of us expect when we go onto YouTube that we're going to go viral and that we're going to just blow up and that we're going to be rolling in the dough. And that is not the case all the time. I think that is the exception, not the rule. Oftentimes it is countless hours added onto a detail to film. It is countless hours late night editing, doing voiceovers, figuring out transitions and audio. And then from there, getting your affiliate links and your video description information uploaded, and then responding to all of the comments that people have. And when you're close to 30,000, there's a lot of comments. And I do try to interact with you guys as much as I can, but it is a lot of work. And so I definitely do sometimes struggle with YouTube and the pool that it has, because I want the time that I've invested into it to be worth something. I don't want to just waste it. It has been a struggle sometimes for me to manage family and my marriage and my kids and detailing and YouTube and prioritize everything the way that I should. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I have mastered it. There are some days that it feels like it masters me, and it is a constant reminder to myself that I need to control my business. My business shouldn't control me. But when it comes to the YouTube channel, some of the benefits that have come from it is not only to have so many new friends I've been able to connect with, to feel like I'm a part of something, to be able to help you guys out, but it actually has helped drive business this way. I think honestly, in the last year or so, I've seen a ton of customers starting to come to me because they've seen a video. I've had some that say, "Oh, I'm in Erie," or "Oh, I'm in New Jersey," or "Oh, I'm in New York. I didn't realize you were that close." And I'm like, "That's not really that close. Like, there's no detailers between here and there." But I'm flattered beyond imagination that they trust me. I just had one today that he found me on YouTube, brought me a 2025 Acura, and he's like, "You know what?" He's like, "I saw your videos," and he's like, "I feel like I can trust you." And he's like, I feel confident leaving my vehicle with you." And I was like, wow, like that is humbling. That is just the best feeling in the world. And so I think that is one of the benefits of YouTube. But I say all of that. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to kind of undermine or discourage anyone to start a detailing business as a mom, as someone who has a family, maybe young children. It is hard work, but the benefits of being able to work from home, to control my own schedule, to be able to take days off when I need to be there for my kids if they have a fall party or if they have a basketball game or a soccer game that we need to go to be able to take those days off has just been such a blessing. And then on top of that, to have the YouTube channel, to be able to meet such amazing people because of it. It honestly, I never would have imagined this for my life. Sometimes people ask you, like, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? I never in a million years would have imagined this for my life, but God. So I honestly, I say all of this just to try to, one, let you guys see a little bit of my story and see a little bit about how we have just kind of gotten to where we're at now. It's been a little messy. It's been a little exhausting. But I wouldn't change it for anything. I'll be honest with you guys. The freedom that this has given me to be a mom, but also the things that I've learned about myself along the way. I've actually learned that I love the transformation. I love getting to know the customers and helping them out. I actually love creating videos now. Like, it's become my art form. So, yeah, that is a little bit of my story. And we are going to break into more detail with all of these things over the next year. Eddie and Jamie, actually, this is a year-long thing that we are doing. And so every Wednesday, we're going to be bringing different people onto the channel, different topics. It's not just going to be me. Trust me. I feel like I am floundering right now because talking to myself with my ADHD, it's super distracting. I'm just trying to stare at the green light on the camera at this point so that way I don't see everything else that's going on. And I have actually been seeing the comment section growing and growing. And I'm going to try to read a few of these comments to answer some of your questions because that is why I'm here. I want to get to know you guys and answer your questions. So a lot of you are talking a ton. Dang, Chelsea chat is popping. What up, gang? That's from Juice Free. Let's see here. I am learning all of this. So bear with me, guys, because StreamYard is the platform that they use. And so many of these things, I'm just going to, hopefully you guys will be patient with me. Everyone talks about the many ways to skin a cat. What is that one way everyone seems to already know? David, you need to explain that one to me. Many ways to skin a cat. I mean, I'm speaking in reference to like washing a car, doing a rinseless wash, vacuuming a car, shampooing things like that. I don't know if there's just one way. Maybe that's what you're referencing, that there isn't just one way. All right. Let's keep scrolling here. I don't really see a ton of questions that you guys have for me at this point, or maybe I am that far behind. You guys just seem to be chatting amongst yourself, which I actually love. Oh, yeah, Chelsea is base. Okay. Well, it's because it's 8 o'clock at night and I am tired. So here we go. We've got cloth diapers being discussed between you guys. That's old school. Thought that was just me. Actually, I want to believe that my father in law used to use that to polish his Nova. I could be wrong on that. He did used to use definitely old towels. All right. So, anyways, what we have going on tonight while you guys are chatting, so let's actually ask some questions that you guys um, can share with me for me to get to know you guys. What I want to know from you guys, many of you have been in these chats before. You've gotten to know one another. I'll be honest, I've not been in a ton of the podcasts and the private chats because sometimes I just don't have the time as the mom. So I want to know, where's everyone tuning in from? I think that can help us kind of know the environment that you're detailing out of, or maybe living in. What's the weather like where you are living at right now? And then when it comes to detailing, would you classify yourself as an enthusiast, as a professional? I want to kind of get to know the baseline of like where you guys are coming from with some of the questions that you guys might want to know. I know that if I were to come at it from an approach of saying that um, I want to talk small business. Some of you that maybe are enthusiasts, that might not necessarily be a topic that interests you. But if I just kind of come at it as being a stay-at-home mom, some of you guys, that might not be interesting to you as well. But that's actually one of the cool things about this is that anyone can do it at any point in their lives. I've seen detailers as young as 14, 15, 16 making very lucrative careers. I've seen people doing this at, well beyond retirement age. 3 days a week would be awesome from Biz Cut. I hate working 5 days a week, but benefits and 401k, the money is just hard to beat. I wish I could do something like EC details, love detailing, and love giving back. Eddie definitely does have, I think, at least 3 jobs, and I'm pretty sure he works more than 5 days a week. That is probably one of the things that I miss the most is benefits, 401k. We got hooked up with a financial advisor a few years ago that helped us be able to set up for retirement, to set up with disability insurance and all those things. My husband actually has his own small business as well. So insurance is very expensive, especially when you are self-employed. So yeah, those are definitely things that you have to think through if you want to be a home-based detailing business or do this as a living. Your channel has set me down that detailing rabbit hole. Great, thanks. You're welcome, Wallamoose. We got Ron. I used to shut down for winter until we did the addition. We took a garage bay and covered it to a laundry room entryway and built another garage bay fully insulated with heat. That is awesome, Ron. That is the dream for most people. And actually, I kind of started to talk about that, and then I got distracted by my own thoughts. Beauty. So when we lived at our old house with the one car carport, we were walking around the neighborhood one night, and you guys have seen me do videos from this shop for years now. I don't know if I ever kind of shared the story of how we fell into this house. The older couple that used to live here, they were outside, and we were telling them that we were thinking about putting our house on the market and looking, and this was right before the market collapsed. And we were like, yeah, we're just starting to look. And he's like, make me an offer on my house. And I was like, yeah, we're not going to be able to afford that, George. It's not going to happen. He's like, humor me, just make me an offer. So my husband and I sat down, punched some numbers, put together an offer, gave it to him. He accepted without even batting an eye. And it took several months for us to get in here. When we first bought this garage, I've actually done a video on it, but it was a 2-bay garage with no heat. And one of the first things that we did was that we took out the 2 garage doors and put one big garage door in. My husband has a truck, and with the 2 garage doors, it was super small, super tight. This just allowed us the freedom to get in more comfortably, and then also allowed me to get bigger vehicles in my garage without having to deal with 2 garage bays. So that was definitely a huge upgrade. And then about 2 years ago, we put a mini split in the garage. Maybe longer than that. I feel like I lose track of time how long we've been here. My husband was like, we've been here for 4 or 5 years now. And I'm like, holy cow, that it has flown by. But One of the things with this house, it's kind of kooky with the electrical systems because our sunroom, our mudroom, and the garage are all on like the same breaker. So I'm very limited with how much electrical like pool I can have in here. So I can't have large compressors. If I do, everything will trip constantly. We don't have access to a drain in the floor. That would cost like $15,000 for me to get that put in, and it's just not worth it. Our spigot is actually outdoors. It doesn't necessarily freeze, but we have a blacktop driveway, and that does. So if it gets any sort of water on it, because I pretty much am in the shade from like, I don't know, 9:30 on, any water on the driveway in the winter time just turns to a sheet of ice. My kids love it, but my customers not so much. So it's very much limited me with detailing in the winter. That I've had to pretty much go rinseless, which Ivan is probably like, woohoo, like that's the only way to go. Um, there are times that I do prefer a good old contact wash with a hose, soap, and water. Sometimes it's just like therapeutic for me. But now we are here in this garage. I actually have the heat blasting on me. I think that's why my cheeks are a little red because the heat's on in here. But I primarily do rinseless washes in the wintertime. And I've been doing a lot of videos sharing with you guys what my process is. And it's evolved over the years as I've learned, as I've kind of tried to make things work for me. But that's one of the things about detailing is that, like I said earlier, you know, 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. My process with washing a vehicle rinseless wise 2 years ago is not even the same of what it was last year to this year. I'm constantly evolving and simplifying and making it more efficient. And as the industry advances and becomes better, obviously that helps all of us as well. Let's see here. So, anyways, that's how we kind of got to this house here. As far as plans for the shop, I honestly don't have any huge plans for my shop. I feel like my setup is pretty solid. I've got decent lighting. I've figured out interior wise what lighting I need, and we can go into all of that in the future. If there's any things that you guys like have particular questions about, like what I have in my shop or what my processes are, I'd be more than happy to go over that with you guys. Um, YouTube is a lot of work. Chelsea's videos have helped me a ton. Thank you, Steve. I need more squirrels to bring in those big bucks. YouTube doesn't pay, but thankfully you all have soap sale to fall back on. I mean, I'm not going to say YouTube doesn't pay. There's a ton of potential out there with it. And I think sometimes it's like you're gambling. You're just like, the risk, is it worth it? I don't know. Um, it's not. I honestly am getting more from YouTube with customers than I am with ad revenue, and that's okay. I mean, the customer I had today was a $1,200 detail, and he found me from YouTube. So that one video I did, I might have generated $100 in revenue from it, but I got substantially more. And that is just starting to happen more and more again. So I do encourage all of you who are detailing professionally, start pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Get behind a camera, show your customers what you're worth. Don't even think of it that you're doing it for everyone here. Just do it for the customer. Create content to answer the questions that your customers have. Make it personal, make it practical. They're going to see your worth, and eventually that can help to drive income your way, to drive revenue. You know, no one I think goes into it saying I'm going to be viral unless you're kind of like Logan or Jake Paul, or Mr. Beast, or people like that. And honestly, most of the YouTube channels out there, I don't know if any of them ever started it to say we're going to go viral. They just had a passion and wanted to share it with others and educate others. And that's the beauty. We all have different takes and different perspectives on how it's done. I can learn something from Mike at Chromatic Garage and appreciate the artistic approach that he has to detailing and filming and things like that. Or I could watch John from Forensic Detailing, where he like micro analyzes some of the products that we use, and all of these different takes and things that just kind of fill our detailing cup. And so that's the great thing about YouTube. And you might have a different approach than me, and your customers might appreciate that. YouTube has to be treated like another business. Let's see here. Forgive me, guys. I'm just going to read a lot of these out loud so that way I can get caught up with all these comments because there's a ton. You guys are chatting like crazy tonight in the group. Is this normal? Is this like normal for you guys? Because this is new for me. Ivan saying you can easily carry this yourself, Chelsea. I just feel like I am talking to a crazy person right now. I feel like I'm rambling. Hopefully I'm not. Hopefully I'm making sense to you guys. I'm gonna take this break real quick. I have to thank you guys because I know that there are some channels out there that they end up getting some pretty hard viewers. They're critical, they're negative, they're downright mean, and I have not really ever experienced that. I think honestly, I have some of the best. I know we all say it, but I feel like I have some of the kindest, most respectful, most encouraging viewers on YouTube. I want to sincerely thank you guys because I don't have a ton of friends in my life. Obviously, I'm talking to a screen. Um, and I have my family. I have a few friends here in Lancaster. I don't have a thriving social life. I feel like this has become a little bit of a community for me, and I thank you guys for making me feel special and for making me feel like I add something to your life. So thank you. You guys have no idea what your kindness means to me. So let's keep being kind. Let's see here. Let's just keep going. I just wanted to say that. Do y'all think that YouTube detailing is oversaturated or is there more room for a new channel? I think honestly, that is a good question. I don't even know how to say your name. Makali Omori. I probably butchered that, but it's a really cool name. A lot of vowels. I honestly do think that for me personally, like when a new product comes out and everyone covers it, I get a little tired of it. That's why sometimes when there's hot off the press products, I know everyone sometimes they run to the presses because they want to get the views. I get a little I back off in those moments because I don't want to just ride a wave and I don't know. I just like get to the point where people are like, ugh, it's overdone. I'm tired of it. I would rather show authenticity, show a product being put into use versus just overwhelming the viewer with these products. Um, and I know that's probably not the exact approach that you were taking with oversaturated. I do feel like a lot of people are coming out with YouTube channels, but the algorithm is going to be different for everyone. And honestly, a lot of it is going to hopefully be catered to your customers, to your market, to your the area where you live. If you're sharing it with people that you know versus other detailers, um, and I've seen some channels that have some of the best content that have very few subscribers. They haven't had the traction yet. Um, and that doesn't mean that they should stop doing what they're doing because if it's something that they're passionate about, go for it. We shouldn't just do it because of the views. We shouldn't just do it because of the monetization. If you feel like you're adding value to someone's life, then go for it. If you feel like you're creating art and you're enjoying it and you take pride in it, go for it. So I don't know. I think that's a hard thing because are you caring about the detailing market? Are you caring about the enthusiast? Because it really is so much algorithm based, I feel. So don't let that deter you from pursuing something. If you feel like oh, I'm just going to be, one in a million, well, sometimes that's all it takes, right? All right, let's see here. Let's answer some more questions or at least see. Chelsea, what do you think it would take to get more women involved in detailing? Great question, Conway. I'll be honest with you. I think there are more women in detailing than we realize. I think that sometimes, and this isn't, I'm not talking to these men in the room because you guys are all fantastic. I've actually met many of you and you are encouraging and kind and supportive of women. It is a very male dominated industry. I am by no means a feminist. All right. I'm not going to come out and say that I demand that you give me special favor because I'm just a woman. I want to work for it just like the next person. But I do believe that some women, because some men in this industry are very egotistical, are afraid to show themselves. I think there are many in the kind of in the corners, in the cracks, that they get lost, they get overlooked because they feel like they don't have a voice. And one of the things that I was most excited about when I started to do this was when I started to see these women coming out from the shadows. And I feel like, and some of them have actually said, like, you've given us a voice. And I feel a huge amount of privilege and pressure within that. I mean, obviously, there are several amazing female detailers within this industry that are prominent. Your Jennifer Turcotts, your Sydney's. I mean, we've got people in many different top brand companies that are just crushing it when it comes to detailing. But they are, like I said before, the exception, not the rule. I think honestly, to get more women into detailing, we need to include women more. I think we need to show people like Christy Torres and I'm blanking on many of the Eileen and even Detailing Grandma. I don't even know your name, but I know your username. Forgive me, but I know that those channels, like they have just the last year or so just started to show women of any age, of any background. I mean, Christy's a teacher, full time teacher. Detailing Grandma, I know she does dealership cars. She drives truck. Um, we don't necessarily have to do this as a full-time occupation. And one of the things that I've loved most about detailing is the flexibility that this can provide to women. I'm not going to say that every woman is suited for detailing, because I sometimes might agree with the stereotype that most women are not, like, they don't care about cars. I mean, the women in my life, they don't care a thing about cars. They go through the riptides, they get the automatic car washes because it's simple and easy. They haven't stepped foot in the back of the minivan for like months because they just don't go back there. It's kind of forbidden. We don't talk about it. Once a year, they bring it to me and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It was so bad. Um, so I don't know. I think honestly, you have to have a unique personality to want to get into detailing. I had a unique background in that I actually, when I was in college, I was a housekeeping kind of supervisor. I started to learn about chemicals, cleaning buildings, things like that. That was my job in college. When I graduated from college, I was the housekeeping supervisor at Lancaster Bible College. I had to learn how to polish floors. I had to learn how to remove stains off of carpets and use extractors and things like that. And so I had a passion for those things. But honestly, I think if I hadn't had that knowledge and experience already, I don't know if I would have really been able to go into detailing the way that I have. I think a lot of guys, and again, I'm not trying to psychoanalyze every single guy because I know some guys don't care about cars either. But I think that a lot of guys just have the predisposition for things like that. I don't know. Um, yeah, I think as far as women goes, we just need to include them more, show other women that this is an option. And I think we need to provide opportunities for women to be able to work from home in this way. Normalize maybe a home based garage for people to bring their cars while moms maybe have kids in school, things like that. I am blessed that I had customers that were very supportive of me doing that while my kids were home or while they were at school and dealing with their schedules. So yeah, I think it's not every person is going to be as blessed as I have been. It might be more difficult. But yeah, that's a really, I think it's something that we need to work on within this industry. And I want the women that are within this industry to start speaking up, let people know that you're here because you contribute a huge amount to this industry and you're actually really amazing at what you do. Chelsea was the first that I found that had brutal winters like me. That one video hooked me. That was probably the longest answer to something. You caught me on something that I'm like super passionate about. So, Chelsea, what is one of your against the grain methods? Something that may be not popular or not industry standard? From Aaron. That's a good question. Um, I clay tile without polishing. I mean, some of you might be cringing, but if you do it the proper technique, you don't need to polish. And if you've got a customer that's going through the riptide with automatic brushes and their car is severely swirled, but they haven't washed it like a good wash decon in months, I don't think a few swirls from my micro marring from my clay towel are going to be even noticed. So that's probably the one. It's not something that most people would say. I mean, if you were to say that in public chats, they'd probably be like, oh, you can't. You have to polish every time you clay towel. Great storytelling technique. Your videos always seem as if you're talking to us personally, make it easier learning things. Thank you, Felix. I feel like I'm rambling, but I appreciate you saying that. I know you're big on timers. How have you been able to compare your old timer settings to where you are now? Your efficiency is insane, especially on your most recent video. That was a rinseless wash, Steve. And so that was just really easy. Rinseless washes can make the process so much easier. What Steve is talking about with me having ADHD, and I've talked about this in previous videos, is I have an echo show here in my garage. And one thing I have learned about myself with my ADHD, I've been reading a ton of books on ways to manage it. It's not necessarily a severe case. I would say it's a mild case. I have other friends that it's a little bit more severe. But I've become aware of really bad time management skills, time blindness. I'm really known for that. Just give me 5 more minutes. And like 2 hours later, my husband goes out and he's like, you said you were coming in, dinner's cold. So one thing that I have learned with studying ADHD is that timers can greatly help. People with ADHD thrive really well under pressure. We're craving dopamine, we're craving adrenaline. And so sometimes we procrastinate and wait until the very last minute to get things done because we get that adrenaline, we get that dopamine when we normally get things done. That's why we're super productive when we've got like people coming for dinner. I'm going to clean my entire house in 30 minutes because we're in go mode. And so sometimes when I have things that I need to get done for customer, I've learned how long it should take to do something. And when I'm filming, sometimes it can add an hour or two. But even if I say, let's say I'm doing a full detail, that should take me 4 to 5 hours. So I will set a timer for 4 to 5 hours to pace myself. And then periodically I'll check in and say, Alexa, how much time do I have left on my timer? 2 hours. Okay, kick it into gear. And it just helps me keep track of things. So that way I don't do this. Oh, let's go on Insta Reels and see, whatever, or respond to a question on my channel. And then before I know it, 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh God, the customer's coming. So timers greatly help with things like that for me. Reminders obviously are going to be huge. Even stupid things like, Alexa, remind me at 4:00 to pull out chicken, things like that. Because as I'm getting into things, I will forget. So those are just little tricks that I have learned to try to stay focused, stay prioritized. I feel like in the past, I wasn't fully aware, Steve, of how bad the ADHD was. I didn't take it seriously. When I was seeing a therapist years and years ago, and she's like, I think you're like borderline mild ADHD, and I'm like, I'm not like that typical, like, yeah. And there's different features that your ADHD could have. Obviously, there's the hyper energy. Mine's the mental one. My brain doesn't ever shut off. In fact, there's always a song playing in my head. Do you guys have that? Like right now, it is the theme song that was playing a little bit earlier. David Longabaugh, can you talk about what we did to the garage to help make it an environment to use for detailing year round? I think I answered that one already. I must be way behind in these comments because I'm pretty sure I answered that already, Dave. What do you mean? What do you think are the biggest challenges of being a woman in industry that's typically a male space? From Chris M. That's a really good question. I think honestly, a lot of it comes from my customers. I wouldn't necessarily it comes from men within this industry, but there is a stereotype that only men can do this that I have found from my customers. And I probably have shared this in the past in videos before, but typically when I have people coming to me for the first time, I will have the husband, sit in the car and the wife will come out because most of my customers are women because they feel more comfortable with me. I don't know why there's some women are uncomfortable going to a shop. Maybe they feel like they're going to be taken advantage of or spoken to like they're stupid. I did have a couple customers that say their wife was just really uncomfortable with the guys. So we brought her here so that way she would just feel more comfortable. But the wife will come out and talk to me, and we'll go over everything. And then eventually the husband will kind of come out with his arms, crossed, and just kind of listening, kind of observing. And I mean, this isn't typically like the most recent times, but probably the first 2 or 3 years that I was detailing, it was very much the husband would be standoffish. And then when they would come to pick up the vehicle, I would point out everything that I had done. And they're like, "Oh, you did that? Oh, you did that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then, maybe I would make a recommendation to them and say, maybe next time we see the vehicle, I noticed there were some scratches on it. I do recommend that we polish it next time. And they're like, "You can do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, anyone can polish a vehicle." I mean, yeah, it doesn't require a specific body part to do that. And so I think honestly, it's just breaking some of those stereotypes that people have about women, and helping other women, I think, just become more confident with those things themselves. Paint corrections, ceramic coatings, they're really not that difficult. The hardest part of it is like your back sometimes, and your forearms and things like that. I'm almost 6 feet tall and I'm 40 years old. My back is killing me on a daily basis. So the physical demands that detailing can sometimes have are hard, but they are not any more difficult than I had when I was a janitor or washing dishes or things like that. So yeah, I think honestly, it's just educating customers and just showing more women doing this. Sometimes you just got to deal with it as a female. Um, I'm fortunate enough that I've not really dealt with this from other men in the industry. I'm thankful that there is respect and things like that. But yeah, it's just, I think, a little bit of a culture education that needs to go. All right. You guys answered all of my questions where you guys are at. All right. Question: do you still use the Rip Clean? Hi, I'm Franco, Capricorn, Texas, pro enthusiast, sunsets and logs on the beach. Good to know. Um, I enjoyed the Rip Clean immensely, but I donated that to Aaron for his Rise from the Ashes campaign because I have a Mighty Light 8070. I have my Aqua Pro Vac, and honestly, I might sell my Mighty if anyone's interested because I just don't use it. Um, I am pretty much exclusively moving over to the Aqua Pro Vac. The Rip Clean, I feel like, has its place. I tested it. It was really great. Um, nice suction, substantial amount of water, obviously, because you can hook it up to your hose. Limited with cold water. And on most situations, I like to use warm or hot water. So just because of preference, I didn't want it to sit around and not be used. I figured if someone could benefit from it, let's go ahead and donate it. So we actually gave that to Aaron. So I'm grateful to Rip Clean for sending it to me to test out. And I do think it is a fantastic, like, entry level, beginner level extractor. But I just didn't want it to sit on the shelf. Good questions, you guys. All right. I like spending way too much money on bottles of stuff I saw on a YouTube video. Jimbo, that is one of the hardest parts about detailing is getting caught up in buying the newest, hottest thing. And I think honestly, I didn't mention this earlier, but that was one of the reasons why I started my YouTube channel is that I personally got caught up in needing to try the newest, hottest products that were coming out. And I was drowning in product. This was back at our old house. I think I had 4 crates of chemicals alone. And I had to justify buying all of them. So I just started reviewing them. And I think that's just kind of what kept things going. But it is hard. If I can encourage any of you who are just starting out in detailing, do not buy products until you need to, or else find a good charity that you can donate stuff to because it's $20. What does it matter? But then it ends up sitting on a shelf in here. And then you end up having to buy, several $1000s worth of metal cabinets to kind of store it. And then you have object permanence with the ADHD. So you like forget that you even own it. And then you just buy more or you don't use it because you don't know you have it. It's just, it's a horrible cycle. I totally feel you, Jimbo. All right, let's go. We're going to scroll all the way through here to the end to try to get caught up on some of these questions. Hi, Chelsea. Do you need a DI system to start a detailing business? This is from Siva. I have a water softener in my home. So Siva, good question. I actually have a water softener here at my house as well, but my spigot is not hooked up to it because I would go through a ridiculous amount of salt. There are resin filters that you can purchase, like reloadable ones. They're anywhere from $200 to $400. You don't need it though. I'll be honest with you. I have been able to work around it. I have a tent that I work under in the summer to give me shade. You can use something like Formula 4 spray wax from Superior Products, 10 to 1 dilution, super cheap, super affordable. It's sprayed on after you wash the vehicle, rinse it. Gives you about 5 to 10 minutes to safely dry it. Water spots don't have to be a nightmare, don't have to stop you from having a detailing business. The Formula 4 is probably going to be a great way if you're mobile or things like that, just to kind of work around. And you just learn to work really fast. Honestly, you do the parts that are in the shade kind of last, or no, you do the parts that are in the shade first, and then the areas that are in the sun, you do those last. So you just learned how to work smart, work very quick. Steve, to answer your question about time efficiency, some of the reason why I've gotten really efficient is because I'm just trying to avoid water spots. So I just work really, really fast. All right. Let's see here. Let's keep going. All right. Now we are literally an hour into this. We've got a ton of other questions that you guys have asked. Let's see. Please, a video or future podcast on lighting. We'll totally do that in the future, Alfred. I don't really want these to be ridiculously long. I don't want these to be 3-hour long details because you guys got to get to bed and my kids got to get to bed. And I'm pretty sure my husband is still inside watching. Hi, Dave. But yes, what I want to do is we're going to be doing a giveaway. So let's see here. What you had to do, we've had this scrolling banner the entire time, is you had to comment, you had to like this video, you had to subscribe to this channel, and I'm sure you guys have already done that already. What I am going to do, Eddie and Jamie have given me the privilege of kind of picking how much and how frequent. I have free reign over this. This is the beauty. These guys are like super giving. So what we're going to actually do, since it is before Christmas, we've got enough time that you guys could go onto THOR's website, use coupon code A2D10 to save 10% off. And you guys could get yourself some stuff for Christmas, or bless your dad, or anyone you want, your wife even, with some detailing supplies. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick one lucky winner for a $250 THOR gift card just tonight. It's like our first video. It's our first podcast. We're going to celebrate. We're going to go big. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to scroll through some of these comments real quick. All right. We're just going to do this blindly. We're going to click. Dark Dragon 525. You're the lucky winner if you're still here. If you're still here. If you left, you don't win. And I'm going to answer your question real quick. What is a product or brand you think is underrated? Underrated. I'll be honest. There's a lot. There's a lot. If we could talk about overrated, I could definitely dish on that one as well. I mean, if you guys have followed my channel, you know Superior Products is definitely one of those brands for me that not many people know about them. You can buy them in bulk at O'Reilly's. The thing that kills me is their shipping sometimes, because you could buy a gallon of something for $20 and the shipping be $30. If someone could figure out a way to get them to a website that's more affordable, I would love you. But I use probably at least 5 or 6 of their chemicals. McKee's 37, I have loved them for years. They can be a little expensive, but I have not really tried a single thing of theirs that doesn't perform or do extremely well. Sometimes you get what you pay for when it comes to products. Shine Supply, it's another one. Honestly, a stellar lineup. Jeremy is a phenomenal guy. Was a mobile detailer, used to work with McGuire's, so he knows his products, he knows his chemicals, knows his chemistry. I mean, I could probably go on and on, but those would probably be my top 3. I'll be honest. I use a majority of their chemicals. Shine Supply, their Wise Guide, their Decked Out, their matte, their Cruise Matte Interior Detailer, their Hitman Sanitary Cleaner, Superior Products, McKee's. Yeah, those are probably some of my go-tos. Koshemi, DIY Detail. So yeah. All right, let's go. So Dark Dragon, I'm going to scroll down. Are you still here? comment if you are. If not, we're going to have to find another winner. So if Dark Dragon isn't going to comment in like the next 30 seconds, let's see here. There are my gosh, you guys have been talking. I am literally stunned. They are. Adamo's Garage says they are here. So here's the thing, Dark Dragon, Eddie's already putting who you need to email in the comment section down below. Congratulations. I know that I feel like I have been all over the place. I had a ton of notes like printed up for you guys, and I didn't I didn't do any of it. I feel like I have a ton that I want to discuss in the future with you guys. And I want to know from you guys, who do you want to hear from? We've got people like Ivan LaCroix, Jessica Tran, Pan the Organizer, Rick from Rad Garage coming on the show. Next week, in fact, we're going to have Jamie and Eddie come on. I know you guys are probably sick of him, sick of seeing their faces sometimes. Just kidding. You love them. That's why you're here. But oh my gosh, we're just going to go ahead and turn off all this. You can see how far behind. This is ridiculous, guys. So I was going to talk about 10 things I've learned while detailing. We're going to save that for another episode. We've done a little bit of our Q&A time. Our guests for next week, we've talked about Jamie and Eddie. I had all of these things planned. It was going to be very precise. And I thank you guys for being here for the hot mess. But we are going to wrap this up for tonight because I want to be able to let you guys be able to go to bed. I don't know what time it is where you guys are at, but we did it. Our first podcast episode. Hopefully this gives you guys, I told you, this is the thing about life. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. Hopefully this gives you guys a little bit more of an understanding of my background, where it came from. There's a ton more to discuss and talk about, but I thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the very next podcast, which is going to be next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here at the THOR channel. So make sure you guys tune in if you haven't already. Subscribe. But thank you guys. You were so kind and easy on me. I promise you it will get better. All right, guys. That's it. We'll see you. Have a great night.